Hello everybody, Zen here bringing you more patch 2.0 content on the PTS for Star Wars. I'm on my Sentinel right now, and today we're going to be bringing you all the different Sentinel and Marauder changes, which is really great. This is a class that I've leveled both of. I have both a level 50 Sentinel and a Marauder. I don't have a Guardian or a Juggernaut, however I do have one leveled up and ready to go. As you could see, I can't drag it out. Look, there she is. Look, she's a 55 Jug, and we're going to be showing you that whole class as well. So don't worry. I may have not played them, but I've done a lot of research on all the new changes, and I swear I'll bring you a good video for that class. However, before we actually get started with the Sentinel and Marauder, it's worth noting two things based on the feedback that I've gotten from previous videos, because I've done a few of these now. The first is that I'm not going to talk about balance. That's just how it is. I know some people are crying that some things are in balance in the fact that they may be really bad or they may be really good or both, and it could happen. And it's just at the end of the day, I'm not going to talk about that kind of stuff because that stuff is subject to change. This is the PTS. Don't worry about it. If something seems overpowered, it'll probably be changed. BioWare's not dumb. They're going to try to balance their game. So there's that. The second thing is, I'm also not dumb. I know what I'm doing here. I do a lot of research, right? I have 3 images on the other screen of the old talent tree, the new talent tree, and then all the different changes in between. So I'm looking at literally all the old talents. I know what's different from the new ones. So quit crying that I'm saying things wrong, because I'm not. Look, I got the stuff right in front of me, I swear. But on that note, let's actually get started. So the same thing I've said in all of these videos to begin with is that the major change is that alacrity as a stat got completely changed. So reading directly from the patch notes here, it says alacrity has been redesigned to be a more universally useful stat. Now alacrity reduces the activation time of all abilities, including instant abilities. If such an ability is reduced below the global cooldown is reduced as well. Alacrity now increases resource regeneration for all classes by the same amount that it increases ability activation speed. That is very important to know, because all of the classes are affected by that, as you'll see with some of the changes with the Sentinel. But let's get into the new abilities first. Sentinels got kind of boned on this one, Sentinels and Marauders. They really only got one new ability. They got a couple changed ones, but one new one. It's okay. Actually, it's really sweet, but I think it makes up for the fact that you only get one of them. So it's this right here. It's Twin Saber Throw. It's got an 18-second cooldown, 30-meter range, and it does quite a bit of damage. So it says throws both lightsabers in a straight line towards the target. Actually, let me go into my thing here and I'll actually show you it. There it is. For those of you who have terrible eyesight, I understand. Throws both lightsabers in a straight line towards the target, dealing a ton of weapon damage to all enemies directly in front of you, up to 30 meters away. Affected enemies are slowed by 50% for 6 seconds, and it requires 2 lightsabers. So what does this mean? Well, it's an ability where I can target this training dummy, and within 30 meters, so I can back all the way up into this room here, which, there we go, that's just under 30 meters, and I could reach this target, right? So I'm going to throw him. Ah, cool little animation. It threw both my lightsabers at him. Now, what that means is anybody in this line from 30 meters away, if there's any enemies between me and this target dummy, they just got hit for that amount of damage. And they got slowed by 50% for 6 seconds. So it is a new AoE ability, but it can also be used as a single target ability, because it does quite a bit of damage. And you don't have to use it at 30 meters away, it's just you're more likely to hit more targets in between that. So you can do that, and we're going to experiment with this ability a bit, because I feel like they could do a bit more with it. I feel like they can make it so you can throw it. This is just a little feedback for them. Maybe what would happen is if you throw it and they come back in a straight line too, and maybe you can boomerang it, so you can like this is what I'm hoping. Maybe in the future you could throw it and then boomerang it and have them come back and hit things in this straight line instead, right? That's my hopes and desires and dreams for this ability. However, it isn't like that yet. We will try to move and throw it, but I'm pretty sure it all still goes in a straight line. So we're just going to strafe right here, and does it follow? No, go straight line. So unfortunately, it does not move with you, which would be pretty sweet to be able to actually have it hit possibly more enemies. It would be more skill based, I think, in that aspect. However, it is a really sweet ability. As far as that goes, there really isn't any other changes. So with Ataru form, right? So wherever the heck it is, do I even have it on my bar? No, because I think it is the middle one, isn't it? It is that one, right? So this ability with using Zen, it is different now. So instead of being the way that it used to, it now just makes it so that using Zen grants 30% alacrity. And what does that say there? Because I'm looking at the patch notes, but I was not looking at the actual ability, so of course I don't have it yet. Let me bust this out. No, actually I don't need to actually use the ability. I think I could just look at Zen, can I? Yes. Okay, so for the Ataru form, or whatever the heck it's called, it says grants 30% alacrity, each attack consumes 1 charge. So it's pretty basic in the way that it works. It's just different from what it was before. 30% alacrity is freaking huge. That's a lot. I just want you to keep that in mind. 30% is a lot, especially if you're stacking it. I don't know if you would as a Sentinel or a Marauder just yet. People are still kind of tweaking with the stats, and I'm gonna do a video on messing with alacrity as well. However, just keep that in mind that Ataru form is different, so the whole middle tree kind of changes around that. In fact, I think the middle tree, which is combat, right? Yeah, may be the least changed, funnily enough. But we'll get into that. So, other than that, there's really nothing new. Force exhaustion got changed, but we'll talk about that when we get to that tree. And focus resonance also absorbs all type of damage. However, we actually need to go into the talents now. So, as far as Watchman goes, or Annihilation for the Marauder, all 4 of these, or all 6 of these, I'm terrible at math, shut up. All 6 of these are completely the same. Nothing's different there. What changed is Overload Saber, right? So this now has something removed from it. Can you see what it is? Probably not, because it didn't really make any sense for it to be there to begin with. What used to be there was the effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. That's no longer there, so just keep that in mind. They just remove that. Other than that, all of these talents are literally the same until you get to this one. And for this one specifically, it's not that big of a change either. You probably don't even notice it, but instead of just Merciless Slash and Slash, it also has Dispatch in there, so which is your kind of like execution ability. So that's a part of this as well. Then you move up one, and this got changed from just it's weird, right? So there's a couple of these that got changed. So this Burning Focus used to be right here, used to be to the left of Plasma Blades, and it pretty much got combined here. So you have the applying a burn to your targets reduces damage dealt by 2.5% for 3 seconds. We'll get to that in a second, but we need to look at the Plasma Blades here. So what used to happen is the Burning Focus used to be that your burn effects have a 30% chance to generate 1 focus when dealing damage. This effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. It's not like that anymore. It's now your direct damage attacks that critically hit burning targets have a 100% chance, because that goes up with 2 points, to build 1 focus. So direct damage attacks that critically hit a burning target has a 100% chance to generate 1 focus, right? So the way they changed Plasma Blades is they added the old Burning Focus into it. The old Plasma Blades was just increases the damage dealt by your burn effects by 5, 10, and 15%. Now it's increases the damage dealt by your burn effects by 2, 6, or 2, 4, and 6%. In addition, your burn effects now have a 10% chance to build 1 focus when dealing damage. So it's basically, they took the old talent there and just kind of condensed it with the old Burning Focus, and then gave us a new Burning Focus, which is quite nice. This talent right here wasn't actually here before. So this is what I said earlier. This is applying burn burn to your targets reduces damage dealt by 2.5% for 3 seconds. And then you have these two new ones right here. This is inexhaustible zeal rather. Geoform can now stack up to 6 times, and Merciless Slash can now stack up to 4 times in total. I like that quite a bit. I kind of wish that Overload Saber would start having a stack or something. Maybe you could stack 2 of them. Like, that would have been a cool addition to that. But having Merciless Slash or Annihilation, whichever you're using, stack up to 4 times is quite good. So then you have Zealous Ward, which, getting attacked while Saber Ward is active, heals you for 2% of your maximum health. This effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. So those are the 2 new ones right there, and then you have this new one. Other than that, everything else is the same pretty much, except for the ones that I pointed out. Now on to combat. The bottom is different only because this talent, the Dual Wield Mastery, and this talent, the Steadfast, have been switched. So this used to be there, and this used to be there. Pretty simple. Then you go up, everything else pretty much is here, or is the same right here. Then the Ataru form, as we said earlier, it's changed with the whole Zen, so that's different but the same. I mean, it's the same talent, same ability. Ataru Mastery used to be increases damage dealt by your triggered Ataru forms by 15-30%, and now it is 7.5%, and then so on with the other points. So that's interesting that it kind of got nerfed, and by kind of I mean it did. Then you have this ability, or this talent here, that got changed as well. This one used to be just increase the damage dealt by your triggered Ataru form attacks by, oops, I'm totally looking at the wrong one over here. Anyway, it is increase the, no, your Ataru form attacks have a 15-30% chance to make your next Slash, Blade Storm, or Blade Rush deal 10% more damage. This one is different because it, instead of, because what it used to be called is the, I mean, you see it here as the opportune attack, but what it, so basically all they did was take the name Opportune Attack and put it in place of Slash, Blade Storm, and Blade Rush, deal 10% more damage. So it's less wordy, makes more sense. So then you go up, and you have Combat Trance. Now with Combat Trance, it says when Opportune Attack is consumed by Blade Storm, you generate 1 focus. It was different in the past tree. In the past tree, it was like hits from Ataru form grants Combat Trance for 6 seconds. When Combat Trance ends, you generate 1 focus. Basically, Combat Trance is the name of this talent here, but they just made it into Opportune Attack. So, long story short, all 3 of these are the same, and this talent used to be right here, but they moved it over here because they added 1 up over here. We'll talk about this one in a second. But this one is the same, this is the same, this is the same, and this is the same. But you have this new talent, which when your Ataru form deals damage, your damage reduction, and melee and range defense are increased by 1%, stacks up to 3 times, lasts 10 seconds. I think that's 2%, stacks up to 3 times. Once you get both points into it. These 2 talents are new, reduces the cooldown of Awe by 7.5 seconds. In addition, you build up to 15 centering over the course of using Introspection. This effect cannot occur more than once every 30 seconds. And then this one, Ataru form damage, has a, I think that goes way higher than, 30%, which was what I was going to say. 45% chance to trigger Hand of Justice, which finishes the cooldown of Precision Slash Dispatch and makes your next dispatch free and usable on a target with any health level. That is really nice. Basically, you can start executing people regardless of what health percentage they are at, and that cannot occur more than once every 20 seconds. Everything else there is pretty much the same. Now, it starts to get a bit interesting on this far right tree, the focus tree, because there used to be a talent here, right, where this empty spot is. They removed it. It used to be the reduces the cooldown of Master Strike by 3 seconds, increases its damage by 8%. That's gone. It is now this talent. So they took whatever was here and they just moved it over here. And it is now, while she chew, whatever, look, I'm never going to pronounce these right, is active. Force Leap, Zealous Leap have a 50% chance that goes up to 100. Just double check. Yes, that does go up to 100. To make your next Blade Storm activate without a focus cost, which is pretty great. This talent, the same. This one is the same. And now the rest of this tree is pretty much different in some way. There's so many little different things here. So what used to be this talent used to be Resolute has a 100% chance to heal you for 10% of your maximum health. That is gone. That's totally gone. It is now increases damage dealt by Rebuke by 7.5%, increases duration by 2 seconds. You go over here, this one used to be that it was Blade Focus, and it was reduce the focus cost of Blade Storm by 1 while in Shichu form. Now it reduces the cooldown of Force Stasis by 7.5 seconds. Right. This one used to be a 2-point talent, which brought the damage up to 15%. It is now just a 1-point talent, does the same thing, but only 7.5%. Right. Okay. So now more of this. There used to be a talent here. It is now gone. The one that was here was called, oh gosh, what was its name? Let me look real quick. It was Saber Strength, increases damage dealt by Slash, Dispatch, and Zealous Leap. They moved that, right? So they moved it from here over to here. Wow, it's the exact same, but they just moved it. Why did they have to do that? I don't understand why that was even a thing. They changed this. Let me go back over that so you can actually see it. It used to be reduces the pushback suffered while channeling Force Stasis by 100%. Now it is Force Leap and Zealous Leap have a 50% chance to snare the target, reducing its movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. So that obviously was a pretty big change. Then, oh gosh, this tree is just so messed up. Let's start with this. I think that would be the best route to take. So the previous one was 3 points. This one is now 2 points. But it pretty much does the exact same thing. So that's all you need to know. You have an extra point to spend there. This used to be 2 points with a 2-point talent right here. That is no longer the case. This is just a 3-point talent. And I think they just added whatever talent was in here. So the talent that was here was each tick of Force Stasis and Force Exhaustion grants you Singularity, reducing the force cost and increase the damage dealt by your next Force Sweep by 25%, stacks up to 4 times. That is no longer there, obviously, and they pretty much gave it there. So they gave the Singularity buff into this one, which is nice. This used to just be, if I can actually, okay, for whatever reason, the stupid talent calculator on Torhead, by the way, is broken, and these are actually switched. So what was there, sorry, I messed up here because of the switch. What was here was Interfocus, so Chi Form immediately grants 4 stacks of Singularity while using Zen. And this now does the 3 stacks of Singularity instead of 4 because it's a 3-point talent. And the added bonus from Singularity is there as well. So they just stacked them together. Instead of having to spend 4 talents, you now only have to spend 3. There you go. That was a long drawn-out way of describing those 2 stupid talents because of the whole change there. This is a new one. Force Lash deals damage, or Slash deals additional force, or energy damage, rather. Now, this is the same. This is different. This used to be a 2-point talent, and it is now just 1. It's also different in the fact that it says Zealous Leap can now be used while immobilized. Before, it was just increases the movement speed by 40% for 5 seconds after using your leap. This is different. This used to, no, this is still a 1-point talent, sorry. But it reduces the force cost of Zealous Leap and Force Exhaustion. The one previously was reduces the force cost of Leg Slash and Force Exhaustion, so they just changed that a little bit. This is different. But actually, let me just go over this one real quick because this is the exact same. So just know that this talent right here is the same. This is different. It is now reduced, I think, a little bit from what it used to be. What it used to be was increased critical strike damage of all force attacks by 10, 20, and 30. Now it is just 5, 10, and 15. I'm pretty sure is what that is. You know what? Let's double check that by just going up into the tree real quick. Just need 5 points. I don't care where I'm putting them. This isn't my actual spec. Don't judge me. Don't do it. Let's just, there we go. Yes, 5, 10, and 15. So nerfed by half. Now, 2 new talents, obviously, as all the other trees have, reduces or increases all damage. Wow, that would suck. Increases all damage dealt by 3% for 6 seconds after using Force Sweep, and reduces the health spent by guarded by the Force by 12.5%. In addition, Twin Saber Throw builds 1 focus. That actually goes up to 2 focus. So Twin Saber Throw is the new ability added. It doesn't cost any focus. You need to understand that. So just the natural ability doesn't cost any focus, but now you can make it so it generates focus, which is quite cool. And the last ability, Force Exhaustion, was also changed. It used to be 60% to 10%. Now it is 50% to 5%. And then it used to be over 5 seconds rather. The new one is over 3 seconds, and I think that's pretty much it. It seems like the kinetic damage is a bit higher of a modifier, so that's also something to keep in mind. It used to be a little bit lower kinetic damage. However, other than that, that is literally the entire tree. Like, this whole tree was super changed. The rest, not so much, little changes here and there, but this one was definitely changed a huge amount. And the Sentinel and Marauder also got a sweet ability. But that's pretty much it. Like all the other stat stuff, when it gets closer to the launch of the patch, I'll try the new Alacrity stuff and get that all done with. And I'll actually, show you what the damage is. The reason I don't show you guys the damage in these videos is because it's going to be different in a couple months anyway. So it's not like it's going to matter. I know you want to know what it is now, but it's not going to matter. Trust me. You might even be disappointed a little bit. The extra stats on the gear doesn't really give you a whole lot. So on that note, I am definitely going to bed because this video has worn me out. So many changes in that far right tree, the focus tree. But on that note, we shall see you guys next time.